Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevett, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hi, I'm Jason. Welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway. We are grateful to be here today, and we are excited, aren't we, Scott?
Heck yeah, absolutely.
That's right. We got a great guest today. We got Jenali Winn. It's pretty exciting. Jenali, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're wonderful, and we're
Welcome.
looking forward to traveling down your Magical Psyche Highway. So let's get started.
I'm excited.
Let's get started. Who are you
Okay.
and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Jenali. I am from a small southern town in Idaho. I'm a spiritual hypnotherapist. I started my journey 10 and a half years ago. I love everything holistic and spiritual. So I am also a natural chiropractor. I own crystal shops, and I teach the law of attraction among many other modalities.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you said you're a spiritual hypnotist. What's that mean?
Yeah, so to me, I work with the body, mind, and spirit, not just the mind and the subconscious, but all together, body, mind, and spirit. I also bring in spirit guides and channel messages while I'm doing it, and all the spiritual fun things like cutting cords and past life regressions. I love past life regressions, which is originally why I started my career. Yes.
Nice, nice. So we're doing the cord cutting ceremonies and the past life regression and stuff like that. And you said you're spiritual, so let's talk about that for a second. What is
Okay,
your
that's
connection?
my favorite topic.
What do you call it? What's your connection to this higher self, universe, God? What do you call this, and what's your connection?
What do I call my connection?
Yeah, that source inside that you go to.
Oh, yeah. So to me, most of the time I phrase it as source or the part of me that's closely connected to source. That's how I phrase that.
Okay, and what's that look like for you?
So when I go inside and I'm asking for the part of myself that's most closely connected to source to come out, I just start connecting to that feeling of unconditional love, of happiness, of joy, and then I just start a conversation of what I'm looking for, of what I'm needing for the day. Sometimes it's advice on what I need for the day. Sometimes it's goals, what I need to do to reach my goals. And I just listen and I start to have a conversation back and forth. That's what I do.
Nice. So do you take this conversation that you're doing with your inside, your internal higher self, the source, do you take this conversation and bring it in with your clients?
Yes. And I teach them how to do it as well. What I have found is that most people do not know how to separate the outside world from their inside world. And they get so consumed with the pressure of the outside world that they can't separate the two. So I often teach them how to separate and how to go inside.
Interesting. So you see them as totally separate and not part of the same whole.
I think that they're all the same. I'm just going to turn this down, guys. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So I do believe that everything is together. I believe that the body, mind, and spirit should be healed as one and not just in separation like they teach us in the outside world.
So do you treat it kind of like parts, because you said you separate it for a second and work on this part and then that part, or you work on it as a whole?
I would say that I break it down into parts just like that. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I noticed that you said you use a lot of different modalities too. I mean, we're talking about cord cutting, we're talking about past life regression, we're talking about all kinds of things. Do you have a go-to?
For my personal self, if it's not hypnosis, I love EFT tapping. I love muscle testing. I definitely love Ho'oponopono. Those are probably my top two or my top four when I am struggling myself.
Yes. What about with others?
Oh, with others. Are we talking about others as far as my clients go, or when I'm in a group of friends?
Oh, that's a good question. Why don't we do both?
Okay. So I got to tell you, something interesting happened to me about almost a year ago. It was in April of 2024. And I meet with a group of girls every single week for prayer and manifesting. But this came because we were channeling messages for each other, and Spirit told us that the energy of the cosmos is changing so much that we cannot manifest alone anymore. We have to do it together. So once a week, every week, since April of 2024, we have been coming together every Monday and manifesting and praying as a group. So we also break it down into pieces in our group, just like that, every single week. And then as far as my clients go, I do tend to break it down for them. I do like to clear their mind first, clear their energy second, and then let's start pulling out the emotions. But it all happens in one session. So we're working on everything as a total, but in different parts, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Are you using conversational hypnosis, or are you actually going into trance with your clients?
Most of the time into trance, yes.
Nice.
But I would say that, on a regular basis, I do a fraction of both. I always put them under first. And I do what I call an emotional detox, where we're pulling out all the emotions. We all kind of know what that's like. And then that's when I get them into that state, I do tools of protection, which is a spiritual thing to protect your energy from all the other negativity and chaos in the world. And then at that point, that's when I can go in and pull out negative energy that's stuck in the physical body. And that's when I have them communicate with me there.
So first you pull out emotions,
Mm-hmm.
then you do protection,
Mm-hmm.
then you pull out negative energy.
Yes.
So when you pull everything out, do you put anything in?
Yes, of course, 100%. We all know if we take something out, we have to put something back in. So yes, most of the time I reprogram them with what most people are looking for, which is confidence, joy, love, happiness, motivation, more energy, things like that.
Nice. So when you meet with your clients, and you're meeting with your clients, and we're traveling down your highway, of course. So when you're meeting with your clients, do you have like a little, I noticed you said you do the prayer with your group. So do you have like a little ritual that you do before you meet each client?
Yeah, I do. I learned that technique when we were channeling messages last year. So do you want me to walk you through it?
Go for
it. Okay. I love this. In fact, just so you know, I am so passionate about this that I even do this for my own personal session. So if I went in to get a foot zone, which I did 2 weeks ago, I ask for them to let me say this before we start the session. If I'm in a communication, like if I'm having a conversation with people just on the phone while I'm traveling or driving and it gets to a certain level, I ask to stop them and say this before we continue the conversation. It is really powerful to me. So this is what I say before every session, before every client, before every single prayer group. So I'll just invite you to take a breath with me. So I just ask that all of our spirit guides, our higher selves, the parts of us that are most closely connected to Source, come in and join us in a big, beautiful circle. I ask for a protection, a bubble of protection all the way around us, so that everything that we are venting about or complaining about be transmuted into healing energy for our highest and greatest good. And everything that we are talking about, to bring about, to manifest into our life, be marked in our book of life, so it is set in stone and easily attained. And therefore it is. And that's what we do.
Nice.
Awesome.
Now, did you go through a change just now doing that?
Yes.
Nice.
Did you feel it?
Nice. I could tell. I was watching you. Watching you. So sorry about that. Okay, so that's wonderful. Scott, do you have any questions real quick here?
I was curious. You've got so much going on. Are you going to broaden this by maybe writing a book?
Actually, I have really been considering a book the last, I would say, about a month. That's
awesome.
That's what I would think. But I think my challenge for that is I do so many things. I've been like this almost my entire life. I've been able to see since I was 3, and I just don't know which path to start on first as far as a book goes.
Well, you said you've been able to see since you were 3. So that opens up a question.
My favorite. Yes.
When did you first have this aha moment? Like I'm going to be able to retouch people, and how did that come about? And what's that like?
Yeah. So, oh, I don't think I realized what was happening to me until I was probably closer to 7. But I remember we lived in a very, very remote town, clear out in the mountains. And when I would look out the window at nighttime, I would see indigenous people staring at me. So I grew up terrified of Native American people for a long time until I was about 7, because I didn't understand I was seeing spirits and ghosts in the mountains, right? And when I got to be about 7, I was sleeping at my grandma's house, which I frequently stayed at, and I seen a man in the doorway, not my grandpa, completely dressed from head to toe in flannel, blue and white striped pajamas, button-up shirt, and he was just staring at me, and it scared me. And that was the first time that I knew I was seeing a spirit or a ghost. And then it just kept going, and it's been like that my entire life. So
Nice. So
yeah.
you see spirits and ghosts. Do you also see auras?
Nope, I've never seen auras unless I was like doing plant medicine.
Do you feel spirits and the spirits inside of people?
Yes, I can definitely feel spirits. What I find that I feel more though is like also the emotions that humans are holding. So when people come in, and let's say they're coming in for a reading or a stone reading, a crystal reading, as I call them, I immediately can feel their emotions and energy that's stuck in their body. When I'm working on them, as far as natural chiropractic goes, I can feel the energy. I can tell them exactly what emotion is holding their shoulder out of place, and then we proceed to pull it out. So I can just feel all of that. And unfortunately, it's almost always the negative things and not the positive things that they have going on.
So you're doing chiropractic work too.
Yes, I started that journey about 8 years ago. It's actually called naturopathic practitioner, but if I say that, nobody knows what I'm saying, so I have to clear it up by saying natural chiropractor. And then the energy work it was an accident. I cannot touch people without feeling what's going on with them. And so if I know them, I will ask them if they want me to release it, but I have accidentally scared a few people off doing that without asking first. So it's just interesting.
Nice, nice. So you're doing actual physical and energy work at the same time combined together with emotion.
Yes. Yes. And that was an accident, but yes, that's what happened. That is what happens.
So that was kind of another aha moment.
Yes.
What was that like? How did that come about?
So in 2020, and we all kind of know what the world was like in 2020, I was having the best year of my life. I loved 2020. I wasn't able to continue on working, but I did work in my shop. I was bartending at the time, part-time, and I was working in my shop and office. And I was only working in the shop, and a young man came in. And I remember just feeling this choking feeling right around my throat. And the only thing that could come out of my mouth was, "Whoa, you don't speak your truth and you don't stand up for yourself. What's going on?" And he proceeded to tell me his story. And as he told me his story, I just felt more and more things in my body. And as I was telling him, "Well, oh my gosh, you have so much anxiety and your head is like so clouded." And as I just kept expressing what I was feeling, it just kept opening up. And that was what he was feeling. And he just kept confirming that that's what was going on with him. And it just did not stop. It kept going. So in 2020, I got 4 new abilities. Um, and I don't know, it just happened. So I would just touch people or be in their presence, and it would just happen.
So do you feel like you've opened a channel?
Yeah.
And does that happen online as well?
Sometimes it does. Like I can do readings in other states. I usually just have to look at their picture in order to do it. But the number one way, I'll tell you, this is what is the most interesting part. The way I connect is I almost always have to have your birthday for your numerology. And as soon as I got your numbers and I write them on my hand like that, boom, it just comes into my body. I don't know.
So you can't feel our energy unless I give you numbers?
Oh, I wouldn't say that that's accurate, but that's just how I tune in most frequently. So, um, yeah, that's how I tune in.
Okay. So here's another question for you.
Okay.
So you got all this stuff going on. Who are your mentors over the years?
Good question. You know, I have one time reached out, or a few times, and talked to Teresa Micheletti, who was my first hypnosis teacher when I started this journey 10 and a half years ago. I've talked to her a few times. You know, I can't really say that I've actually had a mentor. I've read a lot of books. I've watched a lot of things online. I was listening to things before podcasts were a thing. And I can't really say that I've had an actual mentor.
So, who are your guides? Who's helped you to see the things the way that you see and help guide you along the way, to become who you are?
So, like, who my guides, like, as in my physical guides or my spirit guides?
Go for it.
So, you know, I have met a few people along the way. I work very, very closely with mediums throughout my career. So I know a lot of people who are in tune, and I would say that throughout the years, I have just learned how they have done things. Not so much as a mentor or mentorship, but how did they do things? What's their story, and how did they come about it? And I would say that I've gathered techniques through meeting other mediums and people that do what I do, and that's kind of just by practicing is how it came along. So no real mentorship, but just learning other information.
Nice. Very nice, Jenali. Scott, you want to have any other questions here?
So let's look into the future a little bit. And we're 10 years from now, and you're looking back. What do you expect to see?
Yeah. And we're talking about my personal life, right?
Yes.
We're talking about, what do you expect to see that you've accomplished?
Yeah. So my goals, I would love to write a book. That has been on my list. I actually have wanted to start my own spiritual podcast for 4 years and wrote down 100 topics. The favorite part about my career, though, is teaching. I love to teach. So when I look back, I would love to say that I've been able to teach to volumes of people.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you.
Jenali, you were
Yes.
talking about when you first discovered this as a 3-year-old, this ability that you have. Well, today, knowing everything you know, is there anything you'd want to tell your 3-year-old?
Yeah. Number one, it's safe to have these abilities. That's emotional.
That's okay.
I was punished very heavily for having my abilities. My family was religious. They didn't understand me, and I was punished very heavily for the things that I asked questions about. I would tell my 3-year-old self, it's safe. As I got older in this small community and I started my business, I was also called a witch or a devil worshiper, and it is nothing like that. So these gifts do come from source, they do come from God. It is not evil, it is safe. And I'm okay to express who I am with these abilities. I'm okay to be me. And that's what I would tell my younger self.
Nice. So now let me ask you, it's been a while now, and you've obviously been through a lot. So how is that relationship with the family now?
I choose to distance myself and to not have any part of that. I have one sibling that I love dearly. I'm very, very close to. The rest of them, I choose not to communicate with, and we still live within the same town of less than 15,000 people. Yeah.
Do you have a family of your own?
Yeah, I have 4 children.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what's
Yeah.
that like? And how's that relationship now?
I would say that it's obviously I've been a single mom for a very long time. It's been challenging and it's been amazing. Unfortunately, my two older kids got the unhealed version of me, and my 2 younger kids have gotten the healed version of me. So there's a whole different dynamic between my older children and my younger children. I'm very close to my younger children. The 2 older are in college right now. The 2 younger are living with me, and they all have abilities. All 4 of them do. So navigating each of their abilities and how they perceive them and has been very fun and interesting.
I,
And
I
being able
noticed
to
you,
have
Go ahead.
Say it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just like, say it again.
No, I noticed that you had two versions of you, the
Yes.
unhealed and the healed. So
Yes.
what's the difference between the two versions of you? What's
So my unhealed version, first you have to know that I grew up with a very abusive childhood. And that childhood of being so used to the abuse led me to be in abusive relationships with men. And I'm not talking just, toxic, we're going to spew venom and say mean things. I'm talking locked up in a bedroom, had been beaten up several times, black eyes, bloody lips. One of them tried to kill me one time. Just a fight for my life for a very long time. And I attracted what I knew because that's what I had growing up. And even though you don't like that, that's not the life you want to live. That's what you attract because that's what your vibration is. And so I had to learn that this isn't the way to do things. This isn't how it's supposed to feel. And that's when I really started getting heavily into the law of attraction, more into affirmations, more into self-love and loving myself and feeling more confident in who I was. It took me a very long time to even like how I looked because my dad would frequently tell me I belonged in a circus, I was ugly. And so I had to wear makeup and be perfectly, structured my entire life. I wouldn't look at people in the eyes when I communicated because I was so worried about how my face looked. And I had to break through all of that. And I did that through some hypnosis, through affirmations, um, through positivity of my mind, of talking myself up and out of those things on a very regular basis. And unfortunately, when my older kids were young, I was so angry. I did not know, I did not know how to be a mom, number one, because I didn't have that growing up. I mean, I had a mother, but I did not have that love. So I did not know how to be a mom. I had no business having kids at 18 and 19 years old. I was just trying to escape my parents. And so as I got older and more mature and really started to break away from the abusive relationships and become more of this healed version, my older kids remember the mom who worked 3 jobs and had abusive relationships. The younger kids remember mom having a career and being healthy. And so there's just that split between my 4 children.
so what was the event that caused that shift from one version of you to the other version of you?
I think, being locked up in a bedroom, and I was pregnant. I was 7 and 8 months pregnant and getting beat and going to the hospital, having to climb out of a window to go to escape, and then having the baby early because I was being beat so much. And then as soon as the baby came out, he would kidnap my son frequently, and the cops, wouldn't do anything about it. And as soon as he finally went to jail, it was like something has to change. So I changed everything. I changed where I lived. I changed my my career. I had a house fire right after that, lost everything, and that's what led me to finally do my dream of hypnosis. And it just seems like it all kind of sequentially worked out in a very short period of time.
It sounds like the fire was a metaphoric blessing.
Yeah, I always think about it like at the phoenix, coming from the ashes. We literally
Yeah.
lost everything. We were sleeping and woke up to it. The fire chief at the time said it was the biggest fire he'd ever seen in 20 years on the job. And we had to have 3 different fire stations come in and attend. And it was crazy. Very many people got hurt. One of them almost died because of the explosion. It wiped out everything, wiped out my cars because the flames were so big. And after that, and I had lost everything, I had no other choice but to become the person I wanted to be. So I quit some of my jobs and I went to school. I signed up right away, so I did not talk myself out of it, which I usually do. And I went. The fire happened in May, and I was in school in San Jose, California by October. So that's what
Nice.
started my journey.
So, Jenali, so
Yes.
when did the faith come in? Was it first? Was it after? Prior
It was
to?
after. Yeah. So it was right about the same time. I would say this was about 2015. About 2015 is when I did this. The fire happened in 2014. And you want to hear something even crazier? I was asleep. I had woke up in the morning when the fire, before it started. I was working 3 jobs at the time. I had 1 day off every 4 weeks. I was exhausted. I was living like a zombie. I got up, I checked on my son. He was still asleep, so I went back to bed, and a spirit woke me up. And I don't remember smelling anything or hearing anything. I just remember like jumping up and running to my bedroom door and throwing it open. And my son was standing there. He was 2 at the time. And I just looked down at him, and his face looked so distorted. I mean, he just had this craziest look on his face. And I didn't move my head. I just moved my eyes. And the fire was so big, I just knew I couldn't go that way. So I don't remember how I did it, but somehow or another, I broke the window and got my baby out. I don't remember crawling out of it myself. And I mean, it just up in flames after that. So, but a spirit woke me up from that.
I guess you do have that protective shield.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm very protected.
Okay, Jenali. So you got so much going on, and there's so much that's happening. How do our viewers get a hold of you?
That is a good question. Right now I'm working on a website. I have never actually had one. Everybody reaches out to me on Facebook, or like you guys found me on TikTok. I have people that find me on TikTok too. But right now it's social media. That's how they find me. So my TikTok or Facebook is where my clients get a hold of me.
And what do they look for?
Most of them look for getting, oh, you mean like the tags, my name's on there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So on TikTok, I believe it's Jenali Spirit Hypnotist. On Facebook, it's Jenali Winn.
Jenali Winn. Nice.
Yes.
Okay, Jenali, that's been a pleasure. Scott, do you have any other questions you want to throw out here?
Jenali, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and spending it with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Wonderful, wonderful. Jenali, we're not through with you yet. Do you have anything you want to
add? No, but I will answer any questions that you have. I love talking.
We got the big question now.
Okay.
What are your words of wisdom for our viewers?
My words of wisdom. Right now at this current time, I would say learn to separate what's in your mind from the outside world. Really learning to love yourself and that you could accomplish anything, and just putting your mind and energy towards that, to know exactly what it is that you want, because if you don't know, Source doesn't know what to send you. So be very clear on your intentions of what you want in life. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Powerful.
Wonderful. Well, we've had a great time traveling down your magical psyche highway.
Thank you.
It seems that you are very clear on what your intentions are, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Nice. Well, it's been wonderful. Scott, you got anything else you want to say?
That's been a great interview.
Yes, it's been wonderful. Emily, anything else?
No, but I would love to do this again. I have so many topics that we could talk about forever.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for allowing us to travel down your magical psyche highway. And for our viewers out there, we're glad you're here too. We're so glad that you're here. We're grateful that you come. Please follow us, subscribe to us, like us, all that stuff. If you like us, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, give us a thumbs down. We don't care. We're just glad you're here. We hope you come back. Share it with your friends, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.